Hello guys and welcome to Whiskey Wednesday episode 12. Now I'm going to give it a few seconds to wait until a few of you guys pop on. It is 9 o'clock right now. So episode 12 guys, I have an amazing guest tonight. Very, very lucky and very, very happy that I have actor, multi-talented singer, guitar player, you name it, he does it, Iron Man. Actor, singer, Paul Bullion joining me tonight. And again, Paul's done some amazing work, most notably Peaky Blinders, but there's so much more. So we will be going into depth in how he keeps his head above water, how when things are going right, he capitalizes on that, how things, when they're going wrong, how he stays in the game, stays current, and keeps a positive mindset. Alright, so let's get on with it. Hey Taylor, let's get on. Here's Paul. Come on in, mate.
Hello. How's it
Cheers,
going,
brother.
Cheers, Cheers.
Yeah, cool.
Great whiskey.
Cheers, Sam. And Sam, who you've all met, guys, he's here chilling with us too, watching the show. So, guys, remember, we're almost at evening, Paul. We're almost at 300 subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. Thank you all. Please like, share and subscribe this show and the YouTube channel because, guys, it means a lot to me and I really do appreciate it. So if you're getting any kind of value, hey Kimberly, hey Ken, if you're getting any kind of value out of this show and the YouTube channel, it would mean the absolute world to me if you share it and get this out to as many people as we possibly can. Hey Sam, so without further ado, let's get on with tonight's show with Hey Sarah, with Paul. And guys, if you've got any questions for Paul,
ask away.
Ask away, yeah. So Paul, right, let's start with, I like doing this, I like working backwards, so let's start with where you are now, what's currently going on, and then talk a bit about that, then we'll go right back to the beginning, how you got into the industry, what influenced you, what inspired you. Okay, so what's going on right now? What's happening?
Right now, a project that I filmed earlier this year, a short horror film called Oscar's Bell, is currently doing the film festival circuit. It's been picked up by a couple and we're entering it into some bigger ones as well. So that's going on at the moment. We're going to take some notes and maybe adjust the film a bit. And then we'll be doing the rounds and answering questions about that film at film festivals coming up.
It's really good, guys. I had I'm not just saying that, but I had the privilege to get sent a private screener of the film, and it's awesome. So look out for that, and I'm sure when it's out, I'll share the links and stuff.
It was a real labour of love, and that's kept me occupied, and apart from that, back to auditioning and going to castings.
Yeah.
Back to the grind.
So that's it. So we both know how unpredictable the auditioning circuit and the grind is. So and again, guys, like we both understand that actually getting auditions itself is an absolute blessing. It takes a lot of years to get into those kind of rooms. So like you're getting auditions quite consistently at the moment.
Yeah, it comes in peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
It's getting busier at this time of year.
So how do you deal with, like, let's say, how do you prepare for an audition?
First of all, I'll find out what it's based on. If it's based on true events, I'll research that. If it's inspired by true events, I'll research that. First of all, I want to get an understanding for the world that's been either created or written about.
Okay.
And that's before I learn the lines, because there's no point in learning the lines if I don't understand what's going on.
That's it. Actors 101. The biggest mistake any novice actor does is go, oh, I'm really good at learning lines.
Yeah.
No one really cares. It's not a line learning test, guys. It's about embodying a character. So that's for any of you who are starting out in your careers or are brand new. Think about the character. Think about how he walks, how he moves, how he talks. The lines, they're the last thing you should learn, right? Or that's how I...
Yeah, you want to be able to it can be applied outside of the acting industry as well. It's about being able to have a conversation about it. So if you're going for a job interview, you would research that company so that you could have a conversation if it was to come up in the interview. Same with learning lines, you do your research so that you can have a decent conversation about the thing that you're auditioning for. And I enjoy the research as well. You know.
Yeah, well, that's what makes you an artist, brother. That's why you get the jobs that you've had in your career so far, and you're just beginning. You're just completely beginning. Okay, so that's a little bit about where Paul is at the moment. Iron Man, yeah, that's John. He did an Iron Man.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit, yeah.
So, he knows.
He knows, yeah. If you know, you know. I'm not part of that club yet.
Yeah.
So we know a little bit about where you're at right this moment in terms of the career, and yeah, it's the same as all those jobbing actors. We're in a privileged position of where we're getting the auditions, but we still have to do other things to keep pay the bills and keep the lights on, which is totally fine. We'll get into that in more detail. But where did it all start, brother? Where did the inspiration come from? When did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
I think, like, looking back, I always knew that I wanted to do it, but there was a serious moment when I was a young teenager that I wanted to join the police force. Very, very strange kind of obsession that I had when I was like 13, 14. But that subsided quite quickly. But I think from a young age, my parents realised that I loved to mimic films that I was watching, and had a big imagination. But also they realised that music really affected me, lyrics and just music in general, and that they would catch me kind of really emoting with music from a young age, and I think they realised pretty soon that I needed a release for that. So when I was really young, I went to a Saturday kind of amateur drama club.
When you say really young,
I think I played an Oompa Loompa in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in a local production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I was like 6. Played an Oompa Loompa, and then I was into my sports, and then I got back into that when I was like 13, 14. I went back to the same drama club again, carried on doing shows, and for me it was a real release. And I'm from a family of 4 kids. So for me, it was great to just get away on a Saturday. As much as I love my siblings, it was great to just get away and do my own thing on a Saturday.
Are you youngest, oldest?
A middle child, classic, like second eldest. There was my brother, firstborn. So it was like, oh yeah, firstborn, and then it was like, oh, it's another boy, and then a girl was born. It's like, oh, little princess, and then I was like, and then another girl. But I was like, I think, you know, it's a bit of a cliche to say I was crying out for attention, but I just loved being able to escape and explore different worlds. And I remember doing a production of, when I was 13, I did a production of West Side Story, and it was just amazing to dive into that world and be in New York City.
Andrea's just asked a question. Can she ask you who inspired your career?
Who inspired my career? Tell you what, you might know if you watch shows. He's done a lot of shows in town in the West End, and he's a friend of mine now. A guy called Norman Bowman, and I'm actually now signed with the same agent as him. But I saw him play Tony in West Side Story when I was about 13. We went to watch it at Wimbledon Theatre before we did our production in Milton Keynes, and he was just so easy to watch, and really talented bloke, and he's done, you name the show, he's done it. His attitude is very positive, and he's always looking to learn new stuff, and meeting him and seeing how grounded and just how normal he was actually made it seem possible to actually pursue something like that. So I suppose he doesn't know. I've never said to him, oh, by the way, Norman, like...
Norman, you're a legend. We wouldn't have this lad here if it wasn't for you.
So I suppose he made it because he was friends of people that were running this drama club, and so that's how I got to meet him. That's how we got the tickets for the show, and I suppose this could be doable when you realise the people you're watching on stage, you know, they started out like you did. You know.
That's amazing. So, like me, you started off your professional career in musical theatre. Now, when you were doing shows as a youngster, before you made the decision, because you went to Arts Ed, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Before you decided musical theatre is what I want to do, musical theatre is a course I'm going to do, were you doing musical theatre training before you went to Arts Ed?
I did. I knew I had to play catch up really. So when I was 16, rather than doing A-levels, I went and did a BTEC, which was like a full-time vocational musical theatre BTEC, and I did 2 years, Monday to Thursday, long days, and then I did that for 2 years and auditioned. Didn't get into drama school the first time. I got rejected in all 3 places that I auditioned for. Rejected is a strong word, but I wasn't successful, which actually was a massive blessing in disguise, because I came back the next year and after working on things that I knew I needed to work on, and then things went my way. But I think they also kind of accepted that I wasn't going to stop trying as well, so they knew that they were going to have to let me in eventually.
That's the name of the game though. Paul's just hit on an incredible point there, guys, so please keep liking and sharing this. Rejection, he's just said there that a normal person, it'd hurt them that much that they'd quit. Do you know what I mean? They'd just stop because it's too much, and that's fair enough. But the way you have to be to get to your goals, guys, is to never quit. Just get better. Just get better and understand, okay, this is a rejection, but it's nothing personal. It just means that I'm not right at the moment, or I've got to do other things. The bottom line is he just said there it was a blessing in disguise, because it made you stronger, made you more prepared.
You think about the butterfly effect, like, it's a great college and to go to, but you feel the butterfly effect of like, would I have gotten the same opportunities if I got in a year earlier? Would I be mixing with the same people? Would I have been showcased in the same shows? Absolutely not. Yeah. I would have been in different shows, because they had different shows every year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been showcased in the same way. Saying that, I do believe that you end up following a path that you're meant to follow eventually. But I do feel like I was thrown onto a more comfortable path for me by not getting in the first time, and also it taught me like of course it hurt me as much as as somebody else that if somebody else was to give up, I hurt just as much. I cried my eyes out when I didn't get in. I'm not ashamed to say that. Like there was one particular drama school that had me on hold for 2 months, and I just got a letter saying, "Oh, you're not on hold anymore," and but you can come to the evening classes if you want. And I was like, well, no, I want to do full-time drama school. So and that's the other thing, I didn't compromise. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew that I was ready. So I took it on the chin. I went away. I had private tuition for a year. I worked full-time, paid for some for private tuition on monologues and my singing, and went back the next year. And then luckily, that was my opportunity then.
That's amazing. That's a difference, guys. That's a difference. Never quitting and working, constantly working to get better at what you do, and not having a plan B, because you shouldn't have a plan B, because it distracts from plan A. Plan B, you can have a plan A. Basically, that means we all have to earn a living and we all have to work. You know what I do. I personal train, I do coaching and things like that. But it never distracts from me writing my shows, from me doing this show, which gives me a lot of joy.
And on that note as well, always be proud about like going out there and earning a living, whatever that is. Whilst you're pursuing your dream, because I think that the way that papers, especially with recent events, they will name and shame actors that are caught doing normal jobs.
It's crazy.
Now I think you should be applauded, because it's a tough industry, and believe it or not, the money isn't as incredible as people make out. So you have to make a living, and there's pride. There is absolute pride in work, and I have so much respect for somebody doing that. So myself, I do set builds when I'm not working, so I assist with shows being put in and taken out of the West End, and I enjoy it. It's nice to do, and it's a good group of people that I work with, and it's flexible work, and that's the main thing, because for me, like, availability is the best asset. To be available to go and do an audition or to go and film something or to go and do a play.
Yeah.
That's so important. You know, same again, relevant to outside the acting profession.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing they're going to ask is, are you available?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how qualified or how good you are or how perfect you are for the job. Number one thing, you have to be available. So
if you're stuck in a job, and this is a tricky thing for anyone who's an entrepreneur or an artist of any kind trying to make the way in the world, is finding the balance, and it's not always going to be smooth. You know this from the previous episodes we've done, but this is the truth coming from a very, very talented lad. There was a question asked earlier on. Apologies, I've forgotten who it was from, but I remember the question. It was, are you concentrating now mainly on film or TV, or would you go back and do musicals or
I'd absolutely do. I'll do whatever excites me. So I've always said, like, I don't understand. I might be wrong, but I don't understand when somebody says, I just want to do film and TV, because I don't understand what the drive is behind that. Because there's good and bad TV, there's good and bad theatre, and I think musical theatre is an incredible art form. You know, and there's
it's so hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, and you know, I in a heartbeat, if something excited me, you know, creating something new. Essentially is what I kind of go by. So if that happens to be a musical, brilliant, because as an art form, I think when it's executed to its best, it's unbelievable to watch and to be part of.
I agree. Hi Jared, just a quick one.
Hello Jared.
Hey Jared.
So in terms of when I want to do a project, it's something that excites me. Whether that be theatre, TV, film.
Okay, that's great. I've got a cool question for you then. Okay, musical theatre first. The shows that exist at the moment, if you could have any part in a musical, past or present, doesn't have to be, what would it be? I know what mine is. I couldn't sing it though, so I'd never get it.
Past or present.
Oh, congratulations, Rick. I saw your last thing on getting the part in the amateur dramatics.
Congratulations.
Well done, mate. That's how you start.
Yeah.
No worries, Sarah. But yeah, go on. What part? What would it be?
Oh, that's really, you've put me on the spot there. Do you know what? It'd probably be... and this completely isn't my casting, but I just love...
Yeah, it doesn't matter, irregardless,
Sunday in the Park with George, Stephen Sondheim, George.
Yeah,
like
is that what Jake Gyllenhaal did?
Yeah, he did,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
So what he goes on about, and the whole thing's about him obsessing over his art and how the people in his life are affected by that. And for me, it's that'll be a part that I'd love to play, but completely out of my casting.
Yeah, no, mate. For me, I think I could probably get cast as this role if I could sing that well, but it's Judas in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I would love
That's
to
a great part,
to have a go at that beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you went to musical theatre college. You did what shows did you do straight out of college? What was your first professional job?
So Spamalot. The Monty Python musical. I went on the first ever UK tour, and I was understudying something like 6 different tracks, 4 nights, 2 ensemble.
It's not easy work, guys. Just repeat that. So you were understudying 6 different characters. So you had to have your Bible and stuff.
It was 6 different tracks, but each of those tracks, because it's Monty Python, were multiple roles. So I basically had to know the whole show inside out, and I loved it. It was a great learn. It was an extension of my training.
If you can do that, you can do anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for that job, definitely.
Yeah, that is. So that was your first professional job.
First professional job straight out. I mean, we got whilst we were at college, we got kind of contracted out to Pantos in our second year, which was great fun. That was a test of stamina, doing that many shows a week over Christmas. Did that, and then Spamalot was my first professional job as a graduate. And
how many musicals? Because primarily now, you've kind of, even though you would, if the right musical came along, you'd go and do it. But you have transitioned into from musicals to, because there's still that divide, isn't there? There's still that snobbery.
It's strange because I think it's more of a thing in Britain rather than America. In America, like, if you do well on Broadway, you get opportunities in TV and you know, where I don't understand where the snobbery comes from. But I do think there is, not with everyone, but there you know, there is a bit of snobbery out there.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it's an incredible art form. But I did 2 musicals. I did Spamalot, and then I did a profit share of Guys and Dolls, which was, we had a brilliant cast, amazing production. We ran for about 2 months up in Highgate, and I loved it. And again, like Guys and Dolls, one of, like, I think it's just an absolute classic. And then that from there was a weird butterfly effect into doing a bit more of TV and kind of straight stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And was that always a plan, or did it just kind of evolve that way?
No, I didn't. It always interested me, like pushing, because the industry's so huge. I've always been interested in like different things. It just so happened that a casting director that was working in musical theatre started working for Andy Pryor at the BBC, and they were looking, and you know, she was assisting him, and they were looking for people to play shipwreckers as part of the cast in Jamaica Inn, and she put my name forward, saying, well, you know, she must have kind of noted my weathered face, and she said, well, you might not be familiar with this guy, but you know, I've seen him audition for a few things in musical theatre, and they got me in, and I read, and I got cast in 3 episodes of that.
That's amazing.
And then that was where Peaky Blinders was first mentioned to me, because the fight coordinator on Jamaica Inn said, have you ever heard of the show Peaky Blinders? And I was like, never heard of it. It sounded like a comedy because of the name.
What a show.
And then I didn't put any more thought into it. And then a few months later, I get a phone call from my agent saying, you're in tomorrow for Peaky Blinders. And then suddenly I went, I've heard that before, I've heard that name. And I had one night to try and learn the Black Country accent. That's
nuts. But it worked out well. So guys, before we continue, please like and share, get as many people watching this as possible. We're going to go back to Paul. We've just got to the part where Paul's going to talk about Peaky Blinders now. Tell us what the audition process was like for that, and how you got told that you booked the job and how that felt.
So I was working on the bar at the Dominion Theatre at the time, and I had this audition that came through one night's notice. So I had plans to go to work. And sorry if you're watching my old boss, I did call in saying I was ill. But I had to learn the accent, so I had a dialect coach that was living up in Birmingham at the time, and I Skyped her, and she had phonetically marked all my script, and I worked as hard as I could for one night, and I was somewhere between Irish and Black Country at the time. And I was just strong and focused in my first audition, although I was making mistakes and I could tell that the accent wasn't on point, but I tried to stay like kind of direct with what I was saying. And I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks, and then I get a phone call whilst I was just about to start an ushering shift at Dominion, and they said, Shaheen Baig would like to see you again for Peaky Blinders.
So this is so you've had the first audition.
I had my first audition.
And now this is a recall.
This is the recall.
Okay.
And they said, and I was expecting this note, and they said, and my agent went, but, you know, just work on the accent. And I said, yeah, I know, I'm expecting that. But this time I had a week to prepare for the recall. Brilliant. So I didn't have the money at the time, but I spent every spare penny I had on dialect lessons.
How important is investing in
So important. So I spent about £200 that week.
But you never spent, you invested.
No, I invested £200 that week, knowing that the note I got was work on the accent. I didn't get any other notes, work on the accent. Yeah. So I spent £200 on dialect lessons that week, in a week. Because I said, even if I don't get the part, I want to go in and prove that I can do this.
Yep.
So I went in, read again, and they could see that I'd worked on the accent. And then they said, well, we start filming next week, and your part starts filming in 2. Can we just ask you not to shave until then? I was like, right, okay, cool. So I left, and I was like, rang my agent. I said, well, they're telling me not to shave.
I'm getting excited just listening to this story. I'm like, it's like I had the job.
And then I was so nervous, and I was over at my girlfriend's at the time, and that audition I remember was on a Friday, and I knew that I was going to find out on the Monday. And you know,
the wait.
You get a phone call, and I could see it was my agent's name, and I was like, I'll answer. Picked up the phone. They said, she was like, how are you? I was like, yeah, fine. And at that point, I knew it was going to kind of be good news, because you know, they always ask a question.
Yeah.
And then she said, they want to book you to play Billy Kitchen, and I was like, yes, this is amazing.
Unbelievable.
And I'll start. They had the read through the next week. Obviously, I had to carry on working down the bar, and I was working behind. I remember a week later, I had a shift behind the bar. Sorry, I got something in my throat. I had a shift behind the bar.
Drink some whiskey then.
Yeah, cheers.
And I'll answer this question whilst you, and then you can answer it too, because it applies to both of us. I'm rubbish with accents. Do lessons really help?
Yeah, really do.
Rick, absolutely, 100%. In anything you do, regardless of whether you're in the arts or not, having success doesn't come on your own. You need a team. So look at all the professional tennis players, boxers, any sport, any profession, you name it. They have mentors or coaches. Mentors and coaches, good ones, because there's a lot of rubbish out there, are ridiculously important, and they are worth every single penny. I've had coaches all my life. I'd be absolutely stubborn and arrogant to think that I can do everything on my own, because that's just not true, and I did go through a phase of that. So the answer to that is absolutely.
With dialect coaches, they give you a real template of understanding, kind of a key into the accent, and then you can apply that, you know, into the script. It was so helpful.
Oh, there was a question. Which is harder, musical theatre or television and film?
They both have their own challenges.
Yeah.
They're the same but different. And you've got to be truthful and believable. So.
I think you have, for me personally, I think you have less of a life when you're in a West End show, because that's how I felt, because I was so do you know, I wouldn't go out on the nights because I'd be so paranoid about my voice and things like that, and then you get called in for rehearsals all the time, so you'd never really have any time off, whereas at least the TV jobs I've had the privilege to do over the years, you always had weekends off, and I loved it that much. Even if I got called in on the weekends, I was buzzing because it wasn't work.
I mean, all the things that I've kind of filmed, they've been on location, so you get taken away anyway. But long days, definitely.
Yeah. So like it depends, but I think if you love what you do. So for me, I enjoy musical theatre, but in comparison to doing a play or a good play or doing a TV show or film, there is no comparison. Like and maybe that's because I haven't been given, like maybe if I played Judas in Jesus Christ, it'd be a different thing.
I think we're talking about like theatre in general.
Yeah.
It's, the stamina you need is ridiculous, because you have to project, with TV, you're mic'd up in theatre, but you still have to project. And the stamina to do that 8 times a week a lot of the time.
It's brutal. Someone's asking an Ironman question: which is harder, the swim, the bike, or the run?
It's the end of the bike going into the run. Like it's getting your legs from doing something that isn't conducive from cycling to running. The first couple of miles of the run is absolutely horrendous, and then you settle into it.
We're gonna talk more about the Ironman after, because we're on the Peaky Blinders thread. So you've got the job now. It's day one on set. Who are you working with?
My first experience was straight to set. I'm in a makeup chair next to Tom Hardy.
Local lad.
Yeah, he's like top guy, you know. But rewind to the day, 2 days before, so I had the travel day. I was serving drinks at front of house, and then 2 days later I'm in the makeup chair next to Tom Hardy, and the first thing he did was break down any kind of barriers, and he said, "Are you playing Billy Kitchen?" I said, "Yes." And this was after we'd done the read through and stuff, but Tom wasn't in the read through, busy man. And
Doesn't need to be there. Yeah.
And then he took. I was wearing like the makeup thing whilst they were doing my hair and stuff. And he took off and he just gave me a hug. And he said, "Looking forward to working with you." And I went, "Cool, that's how." And that's
professional etiquette.
That's when I realised, you know, he's there doing a job, I'm there doing a job, and we've got to have that mutual respect.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I admired Tom for what he's done and the career that he's created for himself.
Yeah.
But we're both there to do a job, and that's how you deal with nerves.
Yeah.
To know that you're doing a job and you're getting paid to do that job, and he's getting paid to do his job, and you have that mutual respect, and it was great.
And people in Tom Hardy's privileged position, he's worked his butt off. I don't know, there probably are out there some people who haven't earned what they've deserved, but they're like one-hit wonders, so they'll get it and it'll as quickly as it came, it will disappear. But actors like Tom, I mean, all you need to do is Google Tom Hardy short films or go on YouTube, and a lot of the stuff he's done in the past will come up. He's a grafter, and he understands how, because he was probably in the game about 10-15 years before he became the household name he is now. So he knows when he's working with someone like, because I'd be like in awe if I got to work with Tom, and I'm sure it will happen at some point, because I'll freaking make it happen. That's what we do. He understands, and it's like if I was working with someone who is just out of drama college, I understand, and you've got to make them feel confident and comfortable, because you know where they are and you know the struggle, you know how hard it is. You want to allow them to enjoy it as much as possible.
It's interesting, because I knew I put the work into the audition, but I also knew that I wouldn't have been the only person that put that work in. So I would have had other people up for the part.
Yeah.
I felt so fortunate that Colin McCarthy and Shaheen's office, Colin being the director, and Shaheen's office had given me this opportunity. And I was so grateful, and that's where I felt very fortunate, and I felt lucky at that point. You know, even though I'd put in the preparation to make that luck kind of happen, where luck is opportunity meeting preparation, isn't it? So,
hell yeah.
So that's that was the perfect example of that. And then you know, the doubts that you have where you sat there going, okay, this is quite a big deal. But then just having fun, and then letting all that stuff go, and then just going on. Just, this is no different to any other acting job. Fundamentally, I am playing make believe.
That's
and
it.
Having fun doing it.
That's amazing. Cheers to that, brother. So you got to work with probably the most famous, biggest actor on planet Earth right now. Venom coming out next month, which looks insane, by the way. He's a local lad as well. He literally lives around the corner.
I wasn't available.
For Venom, yeah. Me neither. But we've got to talk about how important education is, how important building your mind is, so reading and things like that. So I know, like anybody who's successful, the majority of people I know, they're well read, they read a lot of books, don't have degrees and stuff, you don't need that. I put a post out about that stuff the other day. I've got 2 of them, you know, they're great, cool, looks fancy on my wall, but it means nothing. Books wise, what is the best book? Like, let's say if you were on your deathbed, you've done everything, but everything that you've had in your life has been erased, and you can give to help people live their best life. You can only give them one book before you go.
Okay.
What
this
is that
will
book?
This will be a segue onto the other part of my life, which I run parallel to my acting, because it helps my mental state of mind. Is the Brownlee brothers have a book called Swim, Bike, Run, and it is so powerful about mindset and about you know, working hard and knowing what you want to achieve and setting a goal. I read that book last year, and it was very inspirational, because the Brownlee brothers, for those of you who don't know, are incredible brothers from Leeds. Alistair won the gold medal in the triathlon in London and in Rio, and his brother got bronze and then silver, and their work ethic's ridiculous, and the things that they come up with in the book about mindset and you know, how they support one another, and how they deal with nerves and things like that. That really inspired me, and that's what really kicked my triathlon into gear. And triathlon for me, I do because it's, you know, you can apply it to, you know, for me in my case, acting, because with triathlon you set a goal, you prepare for it, and then you execute it, and then when you finish with that, when you set yourself a new challenge, you go, right, what's the next race that I'm going to do? So you never, like, same with my acting, like I never go, well, this is brilliant now, like I can relax. I go, right, okay, what's next? You know, that's what I love about triathlon.
That's amazing. Someone's asked I'll ask this one, answer this one first. How do you prepare or not get nervous or uncomfortable about either auditioning or being cast in a role where you might have to remove your clothes? I had a chance to audition for local casting for the full Monty and chickened out at the last minute. All right, this is a very important question, actually. So, Paul, I've got my own take on that, but Paul, you're the guest, so.
I with Nudity, like it's such a broad spectrum of what that could mean. Yeah. And the first thing I always ask is it necessary, or are we just getting naked for the sake of getting naked? Yeah. And something like the Full Monty, I've seen it. Like it's a funny show, a great musical. The music's great. Yeah. And the play's brilliant as well. And that's part of the storyline about, from what I remember, it's about the men having the not being, so a couple of the characters not being very comfortable with that. And for me, that you know, I don't mind doing it if it's tasteful or if it's necessary. If it's just because we think it will be cool to get naked, I'm like, well, if it's not necessary, do you have to? Like, are you just doing it for effect? So I mean, I don't really have any issues with taking my kit off, like artistically, but I do feel like sometimes it's just being done for the sake of it. But in something like Full Monty, I mean, maybe that's something, you know, if you're not comfortable doing it, that's your own choice, and you shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable, or you know, someone, you know, can't belittle you for making that choice or not doing the show. Because if you don't want to get naked in front of an audience, guess what? That's your choice. That's absolutely fine, and no one should judge you for that. That doesn't make you, you know, any less brave. You're not brave for taking your clothes off. It's just personal. It's just personal choice.
And at the end of the day, guys, let's just get a bit real here. It's life comes first. Do you know what I mean? As much as us two are obsessed with our art and passionate about it, life, especially as you get a bit older, I'm more obsessed with life. And for me, answering that question, if the part was incredible, like if it was an absolute necessary vehicle to aid the story and the character development and the story, absolutely I'd get naked. But again, like, I'm in the same boat as Paul, and I 100% agree with him. I wouldn't do it unless it served that purpose. And it's the same as there's roles that I'd do. Like, someone asked me the other day, which I think is a very, like, ridiculous question, because I'm an artist at the end of the day. Would I play a gay character? Well, one, I've already done that, right? So you obviously do your research, mate. I've already done that, so the question's been answered there. And all day long, because at the end of the day, love is love. And if it's an incredible... It's like Brokeback Mountain. It's one of my favourite films. You know, and if that opportunity was afforded to me, would it make me uncomfortable? Yes, but at the same time, no, because it's a story about love. It would make me no more uncomfortable as if I had to play a serial killer, because I don't want to kill people. I'm not a killer. Do you know what I mean? Or worse, playing a paedophile. But if the story was incredible and it was going to make people think. This is what we like to do as artists. If you've seen Abe, I want people to think when I tell a story. I want them to think about the human condition, think about their lives, and tell great stories. So for me, getting naked for the sake of naked, no thanks. No. unless you're going to pay me squillions of dollars, then what I'd do is I'd do the role, take the money and make my art, you know. So take one for the team and then invest it in making something that means something to me.
I mean, I just feel like, you know, I had to work a lot on my confidence going to drama school. I had a problem with making eye contact with people a lot of the time, and that was just me, a hangover from being a teenager, of being quite shy, and then obviously that bled into other things. But then I kind of feel with you know, you're blank as an actor. You're a blank canvas to project characters, and you know, like I'm saying, like I'm comfortable in whatever situation I'm thrown into. I'm just saying, like, does it serve the piece?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, does it add anything? And if the answer is yes, then you go, great, cool, absolutely no problem. And if they, you know, and sometimes it's obvious, and I don't even have to ask the question. I go, oh yeah, no, that's a good point, or no, I can see why they've done that. Yeah. But then sometimes, like, because you know, I was in a play a couple of years ago, and the movement director was just like, yeah, and I'm thinking like this bit, like, we just kind of like shocked the audience a bit, and maybe you could just be stood there naked, and they're like, any questions? And I went, yeah, why? Yeah. You know,
valid question. I'd be like,
but other than the what's the reaction going to be? Oh, he's there naked, but what does that mean? And the answer was nothing. Like, he didn't answer any questions. Like, other than what does he look like naked? Like,
basically, he wasn't a very good movement director. He was worried that everyone was going to think his work was terrible, so he wanted to stick something in that'd shock them and go, ooh.
No, it's just, I think what it was, I think they were just, sometimes, like, you have to go to certain places to see whether it works. Yeah. But we realised, and I'm all for trying stuff out, but I think everyone, because it wasn't just me, it's a few other people in the cast as well. I think other people were just like, okay, is he just expecting us to do that now? Okay. So it was questioned, and then it was thrown out.
That's what rehearsals are for as well, guys. It is very important, and it's a hard thing to be able to do. It takes a lot of practice. It's very important to allow yourself to be rubbish. Because what you're watching on TV and films and stuff, and albeit some of it might be rubbish, but I'm talking about the classy stuff that you're watching, the things where you go, oh my God, that's amazing. You are not going to hit those marks on your first reading of that. It's a development, it's rehearsal, practicing, trying lots of different things. I don't know about you, Paul, but when I do self-tape auditions is pretty much like this, guys. That's the way that the business is going. You get an audition, you have to put it down on tape. So my mate Paul will come round, he'll be behind the camera and he'll be reading, and I'll be here. I'll give my agent 3 different takes of the same scene, so she can choose. So 3 different character options, but it might take me like 5 or 6 takes of experimentation, going there, trying crazy stuff that looks absolutely terrible. But I'm not afraid of being terrible, because the only way to get over that is to go there, and then you learn what works and what doesn't. Taking risks, very important, right? And let's talk about luck, because luck, people always like, I've had this a few times, and it kind of like, I want to know your take on it. Makes me itch a little, and I kind of smile and go, oh, thank you very much, because I do feel very blessed, and I'm very grateful, and I do feel very lucky. But how do you feel, Paul, when people go to you, oh my God, your life, you're living a life, you are so lucky, you are so lucky?
I think this opens up a whole can of worms, because I think social media is a great tool. I think it's a good thing, but also the other side of it is responsible for a lot of problems. People put the best part of themselves out on social media. So
which is why we're here, keeping it real. We're keeping it real for you guys.
So when you're just bombarded with the best part of people's lives all the time, you think they're living the dream, but ultimately, like, they'll put stuff that they're excited about sharing, you know, and so therefore they see that, and they think you're living a life that you're not really living. So it's lovely, because a lot of times I get messages from people I went to school with, and they're like, oh my God, I've just turned the TV on, I've just seen you, or my mum just saw you at the theatre, or you're in that play, and you go, oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, so thanks so much. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. And however, the point I'm saying is when they say like you're lucky, yeah, they're not wrong. I'm lucky to be in this situation because a series of events have led me to do some pretty cool stuff. However, like I've skinted myself, like being available, like taking evening work, working behind bars whilst trying to live in London, making sure that I can go to an audition when I get it and I'm not like double booked with work and trying to juggle all those things. And I think luck is because it comes when you make yourself lucky sometimes.
What did you say earlier? Luck is where opportunity
meets preparation.
Amen, brother.
So you know, like I'll prepare myself. I'll go to the gym, and I'll go to the gym, and I'll go to the theatre, and I won't compromise on those things, because I think being inspired and being healthy are two things you can't compromise on. You know, in any industry.
Yeah. Health, key of life, like, guys. Health.
Yeah, and so like, but the knock-on effect. The reason why I keep physically fit. The reason why I do triathlon. You know, the physical side of the fitness is kind of a byproduct of going to the gym. For me, it's the mental side of it. I feel so like cleansed after going for a nice long swim, or getting on the treadmill for a long time, or getting out on a bike, doing a race. Like it completely empties my mind because I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm in that race at the time, and for like, you know, if I'm doing an Olympic distance race, like for 2 hours 15, 2 hours 20 minutes, like I'm not thinking about anything else, and it's quite therapeutic, you know. And when you're swimming, you have to think about your breath. So all this talk, you know, talk about meditation. Yeah. You're literally swimming. You're automatically meditating because you're breathing out, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, you're breathing in, and when you do that for an hour, you feel great.
That's nuts. I can't swim, so you won't see me doing that.
Yeah. so like what I'm saying, like of course, like the luck is more kind of elongated than just a snap kind of decision. It's like a series of events that has led me to be lucky. You know, not getting into drama school the first time meant that I went, you know, into a different year group, and then subsequently did different shows, and I was very lucky to get a part in one of those shows that showcased me well, and then picked up by an agent, and then but also that's the other thing, is saying no to stuff that you don't want to do, because people would say that's an arrogant thing to do, but it's the only control you have. Again, in acting or any profession, to say no to something that you don't want to do is the only power you have, and it will leave you available to do something else.
Say no to good so you can say yes to great. And it's very, very tough, and you're going to come up against a lot of obstacles. Anyone who's trying to do anything with their lives, regardless of what profession it is, you are going to face many uncomfortable moments. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you will win. So because we're just talking about success there and luck. You get lucky after preparing, but like I've been in this game now 18 years. Like it was the year 2000 when I decided that this is what I wanted to do properly. I got in a drama college in 2002, graduated in 2005, and been a professional ever since. But Paul, what about you? How long have you been in the game now?
I graduated 8 years ago.
8 years. So you've been a pro 8 years, but when did you actually start? Like you were 6, you said, right? Was it continuous, or did you have breaks in between?
Yeah, so I was 6 when I was an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
I've only just taken it off my CV. and then I didn't do anything again until I was like 13.
Yeah.
And then if I'd say 13, 14, I did all the classic kind of Andram kind of shows, if you like. I did, you know, Annie, West Side Story, Bugsy Malone, Grease.
All the classics.
All came out. And then I went to BTEC college, and that's when I first heard about professional training in you know, the 3-year courses, and that's when I went, this is what I want to do. So yeah, I suppose if you count from when I was 13, that's 17 years. But you know, saying that I didn't understand the paths that I could take. So I'd say properly from the age of 17, when I started auditioning for drama school, really is when I knew that there was no other option for me.
That's it. So that's what, 13 years. 13 years, mate. And that's the difference, guys. 13 years. Now, for you guys who are watching this, you've got a bit of the... You're on the inside now. But Paul, it is a very realistic probability that tomorrow Paul could get a call and be the lead in a huge American TV show and be earning 3 or 4 million a year. It's a very realistic thing that could happen. And then you get people, it'd be brilliant, mate, wouldn't it? And then you'll get people saying, "Oh my God, he's so lucky." Yeah, it took 13 years of graft to become that lucky, you know. But the thing is, you should never be never work for money, guys. If you're working for money, you're going to be miserable all your life. I'm telling you that now. Money solves that many of your problems, but it will not make you happy. You've got to learn to be happy right now, in the here and now, right?
Well, I meant, like, one thing I really love doing at the moment is I mentor students at a BTEC college in Milton Keynes called Arts One. And I was with them earlier today, and I always say to them, like, you know, you've got to, and it's the same with when I'm trying to get through an Ironman. Like, for those of you who don't know what an Ironman is, it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and then a marathon all in one go. And the reason that how I get through it is I remember why I'm doing it. So, who am I raising money for? Why, you know, what am I hoping to get out of it? And it's remembering your why. Yeah. And that's the same with performing, with acting, or any career. Like, whatever you're pursuing, whether it's acting or something else, like, just always go back to why you're doing it. Well, you know, because if the answer is money, do something else. Yeah. because no one should get into acting for money, because you know, it's just it's not the easiest way of making money.
Here's a great example. Imagine you're a doctor. Now, if you went to your doctors and went, "Oh, why did you become a doctor?" and your doctor said, "Because I want to make a load of money," how would that make you feel? Now, if you went to another doctor and you asked the same question and they went, "Because I really genuinely wanted to help people and save people's lives."
Which the majority of doctors do.
Yeah. You get the only type of doctors I know who say, "I want to be very, very rich," are plastic surgeons and you know, who live millions of miles away. But how would that make you? And that's it. And the reason why, like, any lawyers or doctors in the world who are at the top of their game, they're at the top of the game, the majority of them, because they love what they do. And that's why they become so successful, because you get a lot of mediocre in all professions. Yeah. Plumbers, doctors. You can get plumbers who are multi-gajillionaires, richer than many, many actors, because they have a passion for building a business. You have waste disposal people. A couple of my clients own huge waste disposal companies because they are passionate about recycling and being green and saving the world. Multi-millionaires. Yeah. Do you know, from not being derogatory, from taking someone's trash away. Isn't that insane? Now, someone else's mindset who doesn't like that, or doesn't see the bigger picture of, I'm recycling, I'm helping the earth, would just be like, "Oh God, this is it. I'm getting scruffy and dirty." They don't see the bigger.
So the answer good to my patients. Good.
Oh, awesome. That's very, very cool.
The common thread across any successful person in, you know, success is happiness. I know it's a cliche, but it really is. It's about, because the happiness comes from having pride in what you do. Yeah. So
beautiful, man. That's really cool.
But that is it. Like, you have people that are proud to go out and be, you know, the best waste disposal person going, like, just going, "I'm going to be the best waiter I can be today. I'm going to be the best carpenter that I can be. Yeah. I'm going to," and you know, and I take pride in my work. So I don't go into auditions anymore going, I'm going to get this part. I go in going, I want to give the best audition that I can give. Yeah. And that's the only thing that I've got control over. Because I don't have control over the decision after that. Nope. Because they might go, "He's too ginger.
How very dare they?
We can't wig him," or "Actually, he doesn't have the resemblance of the guy that we've already cast as his brother." Or, you know, so many things are out of your control. Yeah. But the only things you have control over is the things that it's obvious the things that you can control. In my situation, giving the best audition, and that's where my control ends.
Yeah.
Because after that, there's so many people that have their jobs to do, and they are just doing a job, and they're taking pride in that job, and they're very good at that job. So therefore, you can't take anything personally. So that I used to really hurt me when I started auditioning, and I wouldn't hear anything, and and I always, can I get some feedback? Can you call them, please?
Yeah.
Please give it. And then I was like, well, why am I? Because the feedback would always be, it just didn't go his way.
Yeah.
And then that's obvious. So what's the point of me fretting over that? So now it's water off a duck's back because I know that sometimes I have terrible auditions, but it's how do I deal with that? I walk away and I try and not let that affect my next audition, which is why triathlon's great again, because if I have a bad race, I can go, right, am I going to let this eat me up and have a terrible next race, or can I then actually learn to deal with that and go, okay, well, today wasn't my day, on to the next.
You learn more from your failures, guys, than you do your successes. Rick, that's awesome. Okay, we've got 4 minutes left, so I'm going to ask Paul the final question, which I like to ask every guest I have on this show. If you were talking to 17-year-old Paul, who's just about to embark on this career, this is the journey he's gone on, knowing what you know now, what 3 golden nuggets, what 3 pieces of advice would you give that kid, that 17-year-old Paul, at the beginning of this beautiful but brutally difficult career?
Wasn't expecting that one. Okay.
Yes.
3 bits of advice to 17-year-old self. Make eye contact with people a lot more.
That's one. Make eye contact, guys. It's important.
Yeah, it really is, because it leaves you open, and you can read other people better, and they can read you better. Because when you're closed off, eyes are everything.
Yeah.
So make eye contact with people. Don't take things personally, because I ruined the first 5 years of my 20s, from 20 to 25, by taking everything personally. Yeah. Why hasn't it gone my way? And not in an arrogant way, just like trying to
massive insecurities.
Massive insecurities.
Yeah.
Like why? I want to know. Like what can I change? Like do I need to change? Just let all that stuff go. Don't take anything personally. Which leads on to the third point: is just have some pride in yourself, and give yourself a little bit of self-love, and know that you're always going to look after yourself, because that's important. And don't let anything, whether it's your passion or your job, stop you from being happy. So if you need to take a moment and just go, right, I need to go and clear my head for a bit, just always look after your mental health, because that is it's a real thing. It is a real thing. So if you need to speak to someone, speak to someone. If you need to, even that's just a friend, pick up the phone and speak to your friend. But that is the main rule I'll say to my 17-year-old self, is look after yourself.
Yeah. So, eye contact. Don't take things personally. And what was the third one?
Look after yourself.
Look after yourself. Guys, that's the end of today's show. I just want to say thank you so much, brother, for coming on. Absolutely amazing.
Nice to meet you all.
Guys, before we go, you know what I'm going to say? This show, I want it to grow and grow and grow, and it would mean the absolute world to me. If you're getting any value from what we're doing, what I'm trying to create here at all, it will mean the world to me if you can like, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is what we're trying to grow, so we can take Whiskey Wednesday to bigger heights, into a bigger studio, and extend the session. So I'll have Paul back on. Thank you for all the advice and answers. Really appreciate you taking the time to speak.
Thank you very much, Rick. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice one, mate.
All the best.
But yeah, guys, so it will mean the absolute world to me. I'll really appreciate if you share this, even with 2 people, just keep sharing it. Get as many people on the YouTube channel as possible. And by doing that, I can continue to do this and get more incredible people like Paul, genuine people. That's what I only hang about with. I'm very, very snobby with the people I kick about with. Cheers Cheers. Amazing. So, guys, if you're loving what we're doing with the Whiskey Wednesday and the Call the Key Life movement, please like, share and subscribe. And I'll do everything in my power to keep this going forever. All right, guys. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you next week. Peace.